All right, so I was gonna wait and to do this. I was gonna put it off and probably do something else before I even thought about doing this. But I just have to talk about it before some of these thoughts leave my mind. So as I mentioned before, I'm a big wrestling fan, and I'm sitting here just got finished or haven't quite finished. I paused this right before the last match, so it's that second to last match, that Charlotte versus Sasha match, that that made me sit here and say I have to sit down. I have to say these things before I get them out, before they leave my head. So far, I thought this was a pretty good pay-per-view. The matches were good. They were really solid. Bit of fan apathy. That's something I've been noticing a lot lately. That's something I'm going to talk about. I mentioned it in my. I was going to mention it in my hardcore video, but I stopped halfway through. Sorry, heard something moving on outside. So I guess I'm just going to start from the top. I did not. Just to explain to you how I've been watching wrestling. Sorry, that's bothering me. I don't watch SmackDown, I don't watch Raw, I don't watch any of that. It's just too much for me. So all I really do is I watch the pay-per-views. And something that another website or another channel, What Culture's mentioned before, is that the video packages they put together are really good. And I'm missing stuff, I know I am, but I think those are enough to kind of fill me in and give me just enough information that I can actually give a good opinion on. Give me enough information that I know the story. I don't have to watch it beat for beat, because sometimes you might just forget what's going on. So having them tell me the story that they're trying to tell me, and then just, hey, here's the match to go with it, is, I think, a lot easier to go off of, for me. So just going down the list. First match that I saw, because I don't watch the pre-show, I probably should, but first match I saw, New Day versus Cesaro and Sheamus. Really good match. I really enjoyed it. There were I remember some things being a little shaky, but overall, really good match, really fun. I wasn't a huge Cesaro fan at first. He's definitely grown on me. Sheamus was the same way. New Day in general was the same way. New Day's kind of spiked for me. I hated them, liked them, and now they're kind of annoying. But finally, now that the title is off them, I think it's going to be good. It's going to give them some good things. On that point, really happy for Kofi Kingston. The fact that he's not just a tag team, or he was a tag team title holder, he's got a ton of those, but now that he's in the record books as the longest tag team, he definitely deserves it. And he's one of those people who's been around for a long time, putting in solid work, and just to have that kind of accolade in your resume is great. The Cesaro and Sheamus entrance. So the reason wow. Sorry. The reason I even wrote that down is just the little things Cesaro did, where he stopped tearing off just so that he could pull it off in front of the camera with the lights as Sheamus is coming out. I thought that was really cool. I don't know if he's done it before, but the way he did it was just interesting. Another note, Cesaro's shoulder. I don't know what the situation is. I know he's had that tape. I don't know exactly what it's for. So I could probably look it up, or someone could explain it to me. But if he truly does have a injured or weakened shoulder, I don't think he should be taking those shoulder shots into the post as much. The posts look padded now. Before they were clearly just a steel post. Now they almost, I don't know if maybe it was just what they had on them this time, but they looked padded, so hopefully that's for the best. But the neutralizer. Cesaro had a really cool neutralizer where I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I'd have to watch it again. But just how he maneuvered Kofi in the air to hit it, that was cool. It was fun to watch. Yeah, Neutralizer is not one of my favorite moves. It's kind of like, honestly, it's a poor man styles clash. That's the best way I can say it. But it was cool. Another thing was the fact that Kofi broke out the SOS. I haven't seen the SOS in so goddamn long, and even though it wasn't executed as well as it could have been, Cesaro's kind of a big guy, and he's fairly agile. I don't think he's agile enough to pull it off as really cool as the SOS can be. But it was good. It was solid, and I love that move. I haven't seen it in so goddamn long. It was nice to see him break it out again. So that was good. And then the ending of the match was really nice. Where what happened is Sheamus is beat up. They've effectively cleared the ring. Kofi Kingston, Sheamus, Cesaro, and Sheamus is climbing towards the corner, and Cesaro reaches out his hand for the tag, and as Sheamus goes for it, he pulls his hand back, and most people are sitting there thinking, would probably be thinking, wait, what's he doing? Is he turning on Sheamus? Just throw away their friendship like that they've built up, they've worked up this good story that they've been putting together? But no, the fact that he pulled his hand away and kind of fed himself to the Trouble in Paradise, that was good. That was smart. And the way they kind of told it, and you look back on it, and Cesaro wasn't looking at Sheamus when he did that, or that's the story they told, and you can kind of see that in the replay. So that was great. Really happy with the result of that match. The New Day shenanigans have kind of gotten old to me. They're still entertaining. They're still good talkers. I didn't get the third joke Kofi made about Sheamus and Cesaro, but maybe I'm just ignorant on the matter. So on to the next one. Sami Zayn. I cannot talk right now. But Sami Zayn versus Braun Strowman, or Braun Strongman. This was probably the weakest match on the card, easily. Not even probably. I haven't watched the Universal title match, but that was easily the weakest match that I've seen so far. And it's mainly because they've made it so that I do not care about Sami Zayn. I really don't. And that sucks, because I love watching him wrestle guys who are good. Not saying that Braun Strowman's good, but just kind of, I'm big, strong man, and you can't take me. And we've seen Zayn in these really good matches. And just the fact that he suddenly goes from really good matches against bigger, stronger guys to Braun Strongman is going to destroy him. It's annoying. The motivation that Mick Foley gave him, I think, was stupid, because everyone knows why it was stupid. Just kind of the end of the match. It was just kind of meh. It was. I'm not really saying anything right now, and I know this, but just the fact that you never really felt like this was a serious match, partially because of the 10-minute time limit, and the fact that it went to the 10-minute time limit was kind of a cop-out. If anything, it was basically saying we don't want to put either of these guys over right now because we're having trouble building them both. Which I don't think they're having as much trouble with Braun, because he's just destroying people for the sake of destroying people. But Sami Zayn needs something, because with the exception of the one match against KO, he hasn't done much. He hasn't won anything. It's really hard to care about someone who is consistently booked to lose. even if he does really cool shit. Blue Thunder Bomb is really cool. Haluva Kick wasn't my favorite at first because it was a move that guys were just doing, but it turned into his finisher. The Torpedo DDT, or whatever it's called, things will be called something different in the game, and then different on stage, but whatever. And they're really cool moves. I love watching this guy fight, but I just don't care, because I feel like I know the result. It was kind of how I felt about Dean Ambrose, and feel about Dean Ambrose now. I was a Dean Ambrose fan. I'm not really that much of one anymore, because they just continually booked him to lose. How many times has he beaten Seth Rollins? Twice? And both of those involved Roman Reigns? A disqualification at a Hell in a Cell, I think it was, or no, not it was sometime last year. Ambrose did beat Rollins, but I just did not care because one, they didn't make it count. It didn't matter for anything, and just up to that point, he's been beaten. He's just consistently. So I just did not care about the match, and the at the end of the match, I think it was Cole or Corey Graves, and at the end of the match, they were like, he did it, and it was just the most unenthusiastic thing I've ever heard. Like, he just did not give a fuck, and neither did we. That's just kind of Sami Zayn's lot right now, and it sucks because he's good. Going on to Rollins and Jericho. This is something I'm going to touch on in another video, but it feels like injury immediately kills you nowadays. Like, it used to be this big thing where if if you get injured and you come back and everyone loves you now. Like, you could be a bad guy and you'll come back and everyone will love you. Like, there was this moment when Triple H tore his quad, I think it was, and he came back and everyone loved him even though he was a babyface beforehand. That I don't see that anymore. Like, people are turning on Rollins, which kind of sucks. But this match kind of proved that point. It was a good, solid match, but it was kind of slow. You could kind of tell when Rollins was taking over that he wanted a faster, a faster pace, just in general, which is something I enjoy more. For instance, a lot of people like Daniel Bryan. I did not like him unless he was actually moving. If he's sitting on the mat, it was kind of boring. Even if he's in control, it was kind of boring to just see him mat wrestle, which is a point I'm going to come to. But maybe it's just because I only watched it once. Some people watch it 2 times before they give their little opinions. But I just do not remember much from that match. And the fans kind of killed it because they didn't care either. And, you know, the front row is probably, it's probably a bunch of people paid to be there, as far as I can tell at this point, because there's one person that I always see there. If you look into the crowd, and you've probably noticed them, because I have, they're there every single show, almost in the exact same spot. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, because it has a very manly face, but they have fabulous hair. So if it's a guy, then sorry, you do have fabulous hair. If it's a woman, I'm sorry, you look like a man. But pushing that point off to the side, the fans kind of sucked the life out of half the show, honestly, because they just did not care. Rollins did win the match. I don't even remember how. I think I think he caught Jericho from the code breaker after Owens' interference and pedigreed him. I do not like the pedigree on Rollins. I really don't. I think he should have a different move, a better move. I'm not saying that the pedigree is bad, I just do not like it on him. So, on to probably one of the better matches, but an ending and a good match for these guys. They really need these. The Cruiserweight division, Perkins, Swan, and Kendrick, and they really needed this kind of match because I've been hearing that they've been getting slow, they've been getting methodical, kind of like a traditional WWE, where, sorry, that was my friend. My friend is basically TJ Perkins, but not TJ Perkins. Literally, this guy is exactly his style, just his entrance mainly, but that's completely unimportant. So, I like the faster start. This is what we need the Cruiserweights to be doing something that the other guys aren't, and that's usually getting off to a faster pace. Yes, I said that right. And doing more flippy shit. I understand that some guys don't like flippy shit. I like flippy shit. Lots of people do like flippy shit. So let's throw in more flippy shit. Just even if that's just this one division, if it's just, what do they have, 12 guys that are cruiserweights right now? If it's just, okay, these 12 guys, every time they step into the ring, it's going to be flippy shit out the wall. Cool, fine, perfect. I love that. But it was really good to see that. The ending to this match kind of came out of nowhere. It was kind of funny that Kendrick was just killed for most of this match. Just every time he got up, dead. Every time he got up, dead. The knee bar that I saw, that's one of the points. Knee bar was kind of sloppy, and I understand that they're supposed to be doing it so it doesn't actually hurt the person, because you don't want to hurt the person that you're going to be putting in the submission for minutes at a time sometimes. I will get there. And it was like, I like the knee bar. It's a new submission. I don't see anyone else using it, so it's nice to see. It was just this minor thing where his torso was clearly in the lower part of his leg, so he wasn't actually putting any pressure on the knee, or very little. But minor complaint. Ending came really out of nowhere with the double super kick to Rich Swann, is that his first name? Swann's spinning heel kick. Really like that move because no one else is using it. It was like when Charlotte first big booted someone. Yeah, people use the big boot, but no one uses it as their finisher, and it actually kind of works. So it worked in this case, and it's a move that no one uses, so it's nice to see. And now going on to the match that really made me just sit down and say, I've got to get this done now. I've got to record at least this much so far. And just talking, I've probably forgotten some of my major points. That's why this one has the most notes. Everything else has like two notes maybe, but this one has 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 6. Some of them are minor, some of them aren't really important. But first one, something kind of not really that important, was just when Charlotte came in and there was a fan booing her right behind her, and just the look on her face was very fitting, very good character work. Yeah, and it was, honestly, knowing the end of the match, it was perfect. Just her I'm better than you kind of persona that she came off on. Also, when did she start adding flair to her official title? Because I just remember her being Charlotte for the longest time, and now she's Charlotte Flair. I know she is Ric Flair's daughter, but who cares? Really minor niggle. Just the fact that they suddenly attached it is always weird. The mat wrestling was enjoyable. Look, you don't need to worry. Don't worry about rewinding and rewatching unless you want to give me more view time. But I really do not like mat wrestling in the WWE. This was really fun to watch at the start of the match. Their mat wrestling. Just to give a little background on that, the reason I liked it is because it reminded me of when I was wrestling my friends in high school. I never officially wrestled, not amateur, not high school, none of that. Just me and my friends would go out to, I think, to the football field usually, because we had turf, and we'd wrestle each other. It was basically submission grappling, little to no rules, no strikes, no strikes and no minor joints were really the things, because we had one guy who would pull apart your fingers and try to get you that way, and it was just annoying. But what we would do is we do submission grappling, and one of the things that was kind of typical of that is we wouldn't just sit in a hold for 5-10 minutes trying to wear the other person down. That's what it feels like sometimes. I know it's only like 30 seconds to a minute, maybe 2 minutes for some, but the fact that they were actually mat wrestling, they were moving from hold to hold, they're like, okay, can I get something here? No, that's not working. Go to this. Okay, am I getting anything here? No, go to that. And there was back and forth. There was competition. They were actually competing. It wasn't just one person sitting there applying pressure and not actually doing anything. And I understand suspension of disbelief, but I've been in some of these holds, I've been in some of these positions, and honestly, I can sit in a headlock all fucking day. It sucks, it's annoying, but it's not something I'm going to sit here and tap out to. Mainly because it's just like, this kind of sucks. You done? And that's really annoying to see someone who's just like, I'm going to put you in a headlock and I'm going to sit here for 5 minutes. There's little to no way you're going to tap out to this, but I'm going to sit here and do it. I understand it's working the opponent, it's working the person. It's just boring to watch. For me, if you like it, that's your thing. Which brings me to the second half of the match. At about the 15-minute mark, they really started to slow down. They really started to work into that really annoying, slow mat wrestling that I do not like. And it was just not fun. It was not fun. It was not entertaining. And you could tell that they were tired. I was going to say at the beginning that, they're visibly taking places to take a breath, retain some energy. But the fact that they were moving at such a fast pace at the beginning and transitioned, and then you realize, oh crap, they've been doing this for 10 minutes and they've got 20 minutes to go. I've wrestled a guy for 20 minutes. It sucks. You are dead tired after that. So, it's ugh. But, moving on from that, Charlotte got the first pin off of a natural selection from the top rope, which obviously that's going to hurt. It's effectively an RKO, kind of, from the way it was done. But it was a good maneuver. You could tell that it did damage, and you would see something like that putting someone out. From there, Sasha got this really weird pin. It was like a Hurricane Rana, and I want to say she was trying for like a crucifix or something. I don't know what she was doing, but she popped out of it in a roll-up and got a pin that way. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's a thing. And, like, minor point, but it was just one of those things where it's like, it's a bit sloppy. It just didn't really look right. Yeah, and then the end came. Midway through the match, it was around about 20 minutes, I think. Charlotte kicked out Sasha's leg, and Sasha face planted into the stairs from not the turnbuckle. Oof, that would kill her. From the apron, and that looked brutal. Anything that usually just gets me to just go, instantly without even thinking about it, because I've had moves where I see them do it, I'm calm, and then I wait a second, and then I realize what just happened. I'm like, oh, eesh, that hurts. But anything that just makes me curl up is just like, ugh. And Sasha needs to stop taking those. Really. She needs to stop taking all that stuff. Because that's part of her gimmick now is, this is the whole thing with these two, and this is the reason I felt I had to say something, is Sasha's gimmick and Charlotte's gimmick. They have a shared gimmick at this point, because Charlotte is going to win at every pay-per-view. Sasha is going to win on Raw. And hopefully, please, for the love of God, just leave the belt on Charlotte for a few months now. Just leave it on her, just so that it's not bouncing back and forth. Like, there was someone who was like, it doesn't weaken the title because it keeps bouncing back and forth. Yes, it does. Yes, it was a damn good match, and they both deserve to have the title. They both look like they're in a position to have it. But I'm going to draw a comparison to the UFC Women's title. Part of what made it a big deal was the fact that Ronda Rousey held it for so damn long. The fact that she held it, won all of her matches in dominating fashion. I think even her loss was pretty decisive. But it was never these dragged out things that took hours, and didn't take hours, but it was never this long dragged out thing, and you're just like, oh, is it this month, or is this condition in place? I understand that's UFC, not wrestling, so it is different. But you were never sitting there saying, like, for a comparison, when the Patriots and the Giants played in the Super Bowl the second time, one of the things that people were throwing around is no team has ever played against the same team a second time and had a different outcome. So that's why that's why me, for instance, I was like, yeah, the Giants are probably going to win, because no team's ever beaten a team that beat them in a Super Bowl before. So you can kind of use that logic, but with Rousey, she had beaten everyone, and who was going to beat her was the thing. It was like, oh my god, I want to watch it. In the case of this, it's literally, oh, Sasha's going to win. There have been 8 title changes since they've been feuding. I think someone said June, sometime around there. That's a lot of title changes in a short amount of time. It really is. And to me, that weakens the title. Because, just like the women's UFC title has kind of drifted into oblivion now, the WWE women's title is just kind of, oh, Charlotte's going to win it. Sasha's going to win it back. I know there's no rematch clause, so I hope they stick to it. I really do. Because as entertaining as they both are individually, I don't really want to see their matches anymore. It's like Cena Orton. No one wants to see Cena Orton anymore. No one wants to see this match anymore. One last minor point, completely minor. Charlotte looks a lot like Stephanie. I don't know what it is. Every time Charlotte gets into that, like, I'm gonna kill you, that smiling, she's in control, I'm gonna hurt you face, she looks so much like Stephanie. And that's kind of funny to me. Not saying that they are related, but it's one of those weird things where two people working together whose families work together, and they look the same. It's kind of funny. It's kind of weird. So I'm going to get back. I'm going to watch the last match, and I will add this on.
So until then, guys, I'll be back.
Just finished the final match, and it basically played in the exact reverse of the last one. It made me happy, for one. Not for the match itself, more for what happened after the match. I am a admitted Roman Reigns and Shield fan. Someone please just get Dean back, get Dean on Raw, just so we can have that. I don't care what you need to do. Like, make it a 2-for-1 trade. Send Dean over and then send Gallows and Anderson over, so we can have Shield on one brand and the club on the other, and eventually turn that into something. That would be so much better than just sitting here in what we have right now, which isn't necessarily bad. But, so, the start of the match was slow, it was plodding, it was exactly what I just talked about. It was a chin lock, a side chin lock is what they said, and he just sat there for minutes, and it's boring, and I hate that. But when they actually got up, they started going, they started doing stuff. It was actually entertaining. It was two guys who, admittedly, Roman Reigns' personality didn't have much to begin with, but it's been it's been kind of just pushed to the wayside again, and just, hey, Roman, go out, kick people's ass. That's what he needs to be doing. That's all he needs to be doing, and he's good at doing that. He makes it look like he's actually hurting people. His punches are probably not connecting, but it looks like they are. They have impact. So when Chris Jericho earlier in the show is punching on Seth Rollins, and it doesn't look like it's doing anything. But when Roman Reigns throws one punch and Kevin Owens is knocked back, it actually looks like he's doing something. It has impact. It has importance. It makes the moves matter. People like to say Roman Reigns doesn't have any moves. He has a lot. He didn't bust out the Black Tiger Bomb this time, but I think that's mainly because of Kevin Owens' size. He's a big guy. He's amazingly athletic. He's a really good wrestler. He's a big guy. You can't do that kind of move to him. And just the things that were going on. Like, one of the things I hear a lot is he doesn't sell anything. He was selling this whole goddamn match. His neck, he was constantly reaching up to his neck. He was constantly, and people will say, oh, well, he sprinted. Oh, sprinting isn't hard. No matter how beat up you are, you can sprint to a certain degree. Like, it's one of those things. I can run most of 2 miles, and then I can still sprint afterwards. I can do a shit ton of PT, be completely broken down. I'll still be able to put just that little bit in. Maybe that's because I don't push myself the entire time. Who knows? But you're able to do that. You're able to muster up that last little bit of energy. And that's something they complain about Roman Reigns, and I think it's me. But this was another case where the fans were just completely dead. I don't know if they've just completely removed arena mics or what, but they were just dead. And they kind of popped for the places you expected them to. They popped for the spear at the end. They popped for both triple power bombs. Wrestling is entertainment. And if you literally cut half of these matches in half, you're going to have a lot less You're going to have a lot less show, but maybe you can have more matches. I don't know. And these were all relatively good matches. Just some of them dragged on for too long. To me, best match of the night was New Day. New Day and Sheamus and Cesaro. And it was a good match. It was a good, solid match. Very smart. very well done. Worst was still Sami Zayn. I want to like Sami Zayn. I do. I want to care. I just don't. Yeah, it's at the end. It was just small things. Like one of the things about Kevin Owens. One of the best things about him is that he's constantly talking. He's literally telling a story in the ring by telling you things. He's talking, and this is things that not a lot of people do. I started to see it more, but some people just don't do it. They just let their feet do the talking, more or less. And it's boring. I understand some people are just not willing to put that much, be that loud, because sometimes when the crowds are actually raucous, you wouldn't be able to hear them. But in the end was kind of predictable, but a good twist on it. It wasn't just Jericho comes in, kicks Roman Reigns. Oh, Roman, you got the win, but you didn't get the title. The slight little swerve where he code breakers Kevin Owens, and then it's just like, oh yeah, here's the title. We're still friends. That was well done. Predictable, but well done. And then Rollins coming out and them just pinning the two in between them and kicking their asses. That was good. So overall, pretty good show. Not the best this year. I think last month's was better, and I want to say the month before that for Raw at least. Yeah. So, until next time, guys.